doing what the title says. I'm reading the entire Shrek 2 Wikipedia thing. Why not? Shrek 2 is a 2004 American computer animated comedy film directed by Andrew Adamson, Kelly Asbury, and Conrad Vernon. It's the sequel to the 2001 Shrek and the second installment in the Shrek film franchise. The film stars Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy, and Cameron Diaz, who reprise their respective roles as Shrek, Donkey, and Fiona. They are joined by new characters voiced by Antonio Banderas, Julie Andrews, John Cleese, Rupert Everett, and Jennifer Saunders. Shrek 2 takes place following the events of the first film, with Shrek and Donkey meeting Fiona's parents as her zealous fairy godmother, who wants Fiona to marry her son Prince Charming, plots to destroy Shrek and Fiona's marriage. Shrek and Donkey team up with a swashbuckling cat named Puss in Boots to foil the plan. Development began in 2001 following disagreements with producers. Screenwriters from the first film were replaced with Adamson. The story was inspired by Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and new animation tools were utilized to improve the visual appearance of each character, particularly Puss in Boots. The lead actors also received a significant bump in salary to $10 million, which at the time was among the highest contracts in their respective careers. Shrek 2 premiered at the 2004 Cannes Film Festival, where it completed for the Palme d'Or, and it was released in theaters on May 19, 2004. Met with favorable reviews like its predecessor, the film grossed $919.8 million worldwide. It scored the second largest three-day opening weekend in U.S. history and the largest opening for an animated film at the time of its release. It went on to become the highest-grossing film of 2004 worldwide. Shrek 2 is also a DreamWorks Animation's most successful film to date. It held the title of being the longest-grossing animated film of all time until Toy Story 3 surpassed it in 2010. The film received 2 Academy Award nominations for Best Animated Feature and Best Original Song, and its associated soundtrack reached top 10 on the U.S. Billboard 200. A sequel entitled Shrek the Further was released in 2007. Newlywed Shrek and Fiona return from their honeymoon to find that they've been invited by Fiona's parents to a royal ball to celebrate their marriage. Shrek refuses to go at first, but Fiona talks him into it, and along with Donkey, they travel to the kingdom of far, far away. They meet Fiona's parents, King Harold and Queen Lillian, who are shocked to see both their daughter and son-in-law are ogres. Harold particularly repulsed. At dinner, Shrek and Harold get to a heated argument over how Shrek and Fiona will raise their family. And Fiona, disgusted at Shrek and Harold's behavior, locks herself away in her room that evening. Shrek worries that he has lost his true love, particularly after finding her childhood diary and reading that she was once infatuated with Prince Charming. Harold is reprimanded by the fairy godmother and her son Prince Charming by reminding him that Charming was to marry Fiona in exchange for his own happy ending. She implores him to find a way of getting rid of Shrek. Harold arranges for Shrek and Donkey to join him on a fictitious hunting trip, which actually trapped to lure them into the hands of an assassin, Puss in Boots. Unable to defeat Shrek, Puss reveals that he was paid by Harold and offers to come along and make amends. The three sneak into the fairy godmother's potion factory and steal a happily ever after potion that Shrek thinks will restore Fiona's love for him. Shrek and Donkey both drink the potion and fall into a deep sleep, awaking the next morning to discover its effects. Shrek is now a handsome man, while Donkey is turned into an elegant white stallion. In order to make the change permanent, Shrek must kiss Fiona by midnight. Shrek, Donkey, and Puss return to the castle to discover that the potion has transformed Fiona back to the former human self as well. However, the fairy godmother, having discovered the potion's theft, intercepts Shrek and sends Charming to possess him and win Fiona's love. At the fairy godmother's urging, Shrek leaves the castle, thinking that the best way to make Fiona happy is to let her go. To ensure that Fiona falls in love with Charming, the fairy godmother gives Harold a love potion to put into Fiona's teeth. This exchange is overheard by Shrek, Donkey, Puss, and who are arrested by the royal guard and thrown into a dungeon. While the royal ball begins, several of Shrek's friends band together to free the trio with the help of the Muffin Man's monster-sized gingerbread man, which breaks through the castle defenses. Shrek is too late to prevent Charming from kissing Fiona, but instead of falling in love with Charming, Fiona knocks him out with a headbutt. Harold reveals that he never gave Fiona the love potion, whereupon the now enraged fairy godmother attacks Shrek. In the ensuing melee, Harold sacrifices himself to save Shrek. His armor ricochets a spell cast by the fairy godmother, which disintegrates her, and Harold is turned back into the Frog Prince, his true form. Harold gives his blessing to the manager and apologizes for his earlier behavior, admitting his use of the happily ever after potion years earlier to gain Lillian's love. Lillian urges Harold that she loves him over his appearance. As the clock strikes midnight, Fiona rejects Shrek to offer to remain community. They happily let the potion's effects wear off and revert to their older forms, while Donkey changes back to his natural form as well. In the mid-credits scene, Dragon, who had previously romanced Donkey, reveals that they now have several Dragon-Donkey hybrid babies, much to his surprise. In 2001, soon after the original Shrek proved to be a hit, Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy, and Cameron Diaz negotiated an upfront payment of $10 million each for voicing a sequel to the film. That was a significant rise from the $350,000 salary they were paid for the first film. According to Jeffrey Katzenberg, the executive producer of Shrek 2 and co-founder of DreamWorks, who led the negotiations, the payments were probably the highest in the actors' entire careers. Each of the actors were expected to work between 15 and 18 hours in total. The film was produced with a $70 million budget in US dollars. The screenwriters for the first film, Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio, insisted the film to be a traditional fairy tale, but after disagreements with the producers, they left the project and replaced it by the director Andrew Adamson. His writing of the first film was inspired from Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, with the help of co-directors for the film, but it spent most of the film's production in Northern California, where Adamson spent the most time with the voice actors in Glendale, California. DreamWorks began production in 2001, which was actually before the first film was even completed. DreamWorks made sure there was something new to see in Shrek 2 by putting more human characters in the film than there were in its predecessor and improving their appearance, with the use of few systems that dealt with hair and fur to improve its appearance and movement. The setup for all the characters was done in the first 3 years of production. Puss in Boots required a whole new set of tools in the film to handle his fur, belt, and feather plume in his hat. The character also required an upgrade in the fur shader for his introduction in the film. In an early version of Shrek 2, Shrek abdicated the throne and called for a fairy tale election. Pinocchio's campaign was the honesty campaign, while Gingy's was a smear campaign. Director Andrew Adamson said it was overly satiric and political, with many funny ideas, but it was more intellectual than emotional. According to the production designer Delaney Aragos, Shrek 2 appeared to be a lot darker than the original film. There are a lot of medieval paintings and illustrations that we use quite a bit also. Other than that, there are my own influences with classical paintings from the 15th and 16th centuries, but those are not as direct. In fact, nothing was absolutely direct. The design of Shrek was always a twist on reality anyway, so we tried to pack as much detail in it and just as we could in the image. The film's soundtrack features the song Accidentally in Love by Counting Crows, which the band's singer and songwriter Adam Duritz believes it fits into the movie because it's the story of the people who fall in love who weren't supposed to fall in love. The soundtrack was composed by Harry Gregson Williams. In April 2004, the film was selected to compete for the Palme d'Or at the 2004 Cannes Film Festival. Shrek 2 was originally scheduled for release on June 18, 2004. The film was then moved forward from June 18, 2004 to May 21, 2004. However, due to fan demand, it was released 2 days earlier from May 21, 2004 to May 19, 2004. A day before the film went to theaters, the first 5 minutes were shown on Nickelodeon's You Pick Live. Playing at 4,163 theaters over its first weekend in the United States, Shrek 2 was the first film with over 4,000 theaters in overall count. Over 37,000 theaters was its count for an opening day. In July 2014, the film distribution rights were purchased by DreamWorks Animation from Paramount Pictures, owners of the pre-2005 DreamWorks Pictures catalog, and transferred to 20th Century Fox before reverting to Universal Studios. Shrek 2 was released on VHS and DVD on November 5, 2004, and on Game Boy Advance Video on November 17, 2005. A 3D converted version of the film was released exclusively with select Samsung television sets on Blu-ray on December 1, 2010, along with the other 3 films of the series. A non-3D version was released on December 7, 2010 as part of Shrek: The Whole Story, in standalone Blu-ray and DVD combo pack was released individually on August 30th, 2011, along with the other two films of the series. A standalone 3D Blu-ray version of the film was released on November 1st, 2011. The DVD release features two full-length commentary tracks, one by co-directors Conrad Vernon and Kelly Asbury, and the second by producer Aaron Warner and editor Michael Andrews. Far, Far Away Idol is a special feature on the DVD and VHS release based on American Idol and guest starring Simon Cowell. It takes place right after Shrek 2 ends. The short features characters from Shrek compete in a sing-off while being judged by Shrek, Fiona, and Cowell. After the performances on the DVD release, the viewer gets to pick the winner. However, if any winner outside Shrek, along with Princess Fiona, Donkey, or Puss, were selected, Cowell will refuse to accept the winner and proclaim himself the victor, leaping onto the table and performing his own edition of My Way. At the end of VHS release, it gives a link to the website where the viewer can vote for their favorite to determine the ultimate winner. DreamWorks Animation announced on November 8th, 2004, 3 days after the DVD and VHS release, that over 750,000 votes cast. The winner of the competition was Doris. The film opened at number 1 with Friday to Sunday total of 108 million and 929 million since its Wednesday launch, from a then record 4,163 theaters for an average of $25,952 per theater over the weekend. At the time, Shrek 2's Friday to Sunday total was the second highest opening weekend, only trailing Spider-Man's $114.8 million. In addition, Saturday alone managed to attain $44.8 million, meaning the highest single-day gross at the time, being Spider-Man's first Saturday gross of $43.6 million. The film remained at number 1 in its second weekend, expanding to 4,223 theaters, and grossing over $95.6 million over the 4-day Memorial Day weekend, narrowly beating out the $85.8 million 4-day tally of the new opener the day after tomorrow. It spent 10 weeks in the weekly top 10, remaining there until July 29, and stayed in theaters for 149 days, roughly 21 weeks. Closing on November 5th, 2004. The film was released in the United Kingdom on July 2nd, 2004, and topped the country's box office for the next 2 weekends, before being dethroned by Spider-Man 2. The film grossed $441.2 million domestically, U.S. and Canada, and $47.6 million in foreign markets, for a total of $919.8 million worldwide, making it the highest grossing film of both 2004 and in its franchise. This also put the film at the 14th on the all-time domestic box office list and 42nd on the worldwide box office list. The film sold an estimated 71,050,900 tickets in the U.S. The film also took away the highest worldwide gross made by an animated feature, which was before held by Finding Nemo, although the latter still had a higher overseas-only gross, with DVD sales and Shrek 2 merchandise at an estimated total almost $800 million. The film, which was produced with a budget of $150 million, is DreamWorks' most profitable film to date. Shrek 2 remained the highest-grossing animated film worldwide until the release of Toy Story 3, and held the record for highest-grossing animated film at the North American box office until the release of Finding Dory, as well as the highest-grossing non-Disney animated film at its box office. Disney's 3D re-releases of The Lion King and Finding Nemo in 2012, Despicable Me 2 in 2013, and Disney's Frozen also in 2013, Minions in 2015, Zootopia in 2016, Finding Dory also in 2016, Despicable Me in 2017, and Incredibles 2 in 2018, respectively, surpassed Shrek 2 and relegated it as the 11th highest-grossing animated film of all time. Critical response. On a film review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes, the film has an approval rating of 89% based on 236 reviews with an average rating of 7.68 out of 10. The website's consensus reads, "It may not be as fresh as the original, but topical humor and colorful secondary characters make Shrek 2 a winner in its own right." Metacritic, which uses a weighted average, assigned the film a score of 75 out of 100 based on 40 critics, indicating generally favorable reviews. Audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of A on an A+ to F scale. Roger Ebert gave the film 3 out of 4 stars, saying it's bright, lively, and entertaining. Robert Dennerstein of Denver Rocky Mountain News called it sharply funny. James Kendrick plays the plot, calling it familiar but funny. J.R. Jones of the Chicago Reader called it unassailable family entertainment. Similar to the first film, Michael Sullivan of the Washington Post called it better and funnier than the original. Though he wrote that it's not as good as the first film, Calvin Lally of the Film Journal International described it as inventive and often very funny. Peter Rainer of New York Magazine stated the film manages to undo much of what has made its predecessors such a computer-generated joyride. Shrek 2 was nominated for the Palme d'Or at the 2004 Cannes Film Festival. It won 5 awards at the 31st People's Choice Awards: Favorite Animated Movie, Favorite Animated Movie Star for Donkey, Eddie Murphy, Favorite Movie Comedy, and Favorite Movie Villain for Fairy Godmother, Jennifer Saunders, and Favorite Sequel. It also won a Teen Choice Award in the category of Choice Award Choice Movie - Comedy. The film was nominated at the 3rd Visual Effects Society Awards in the category of Outstanding Performance by an Animated Character in an Animated Motion Picture. Along with Shark Tale, the film was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature, but lost to The Incredibles. One of the film's songs, Accidentally in Love, received 5 nominations for the Academy Award for Best Original Song, Golden Globe Award for Best Original Song, and the Grammy Award for Best Song Written for Motion Picture, Television, or Other Visual Media. In 2008, the American Film Institute nominated the film for its top 10 animation films list. Other media, video games: Shrek 2, Shrek 2 Activity Center, Twisted Fairy Tale Fun, Shrek 2 Beg for Mercy, Shrek Super Slam, Shrek Smash Racing. And Shrek 2 has 2 sequels. They are Shrek the Third and Shrek Forever After, and a spin-off film, Puss in Boots, was released on October 28, 2011, and focuses on the character of Puss in Boots, who was introduced in this film. On November 6, 2018, it was reported by Variety that Chris Meledandri had been tasked to reboot both Shrek and Puss in Boots, with the original cast potentially returning. See also list of animated feature-length films and list of computer animated films. Oh gosh. Okay. I guess that's enough for today. Oh gosh. See you guys next time I decide to make a Why did I do that? Oh gosh. Goodbye.